शिक्षा दुनिया का सबसे शक्तिशाली हथियार है जिसके उपयोग से आप दुनिया को बदल सकते हैं. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, said Nelson Mandela. In the last 2 years, these words have rung true more than ever before, क्योंकि शिक्षा के उपयोग से सिर्फ दुनिया नहीं, वक्त और हालात भी बदल गए. Amidst a pandemic, just when the world was ready to give up on children's education, the educators, teachers from all schools, big and small, stepped up to ensure that while schools may be closed, schooling goes on. In doing so, they left no stone unturned. From adopting the latest technology to developing innovative teaching methods to becoming counselors, they have done it all. दुनिया के इतिहास में कभी किसी देश ने यह चुनौती का सामना नहीं किया था और इसी चुनौती का सामना करते हुए हमारे देश की शिक्षा व्यवस्था की मजबूत नींव और दृढ़ संकल्प झलकता नजर आया. When we look back at these 2 years, we see a community of educators who have been restored to their rightful place of glory, recognized as frontline warriors, and an overall transformation of the whole education ecosystem into a cohesive, determined force to reckon with. Esteemed dignitaries, eminent guest speakers, revered principals, and fellow educators, a very good morning and welcome to the 27th Annual National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes, brought to you by the Sahodaya Samiti, Gwalior. Over the next 2 days, it shall be our privilege to host eminent speakers and thought leaders as they deliberate on various aspects of school education. इस साल का सम्मेलन पुनर्नवा रीडिस्कवरी ऑफ इंडिया एट 75 के विषय पर आधारित है. सन 2020 में घोषित किया गया नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी ने देश की शिक्षा व्यवस्था को एक नई दिशा, एक नया राह दर्शाया है. This year, as we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of independence, we look back at India's glorious heritage and use that as a foundation on which we build the greatest monument of human development, an India of tomorrow. In all our endeavors, in all that we do, we have the distinction of being led by the Central Board of Secondary Education, that is CBSE. The Sahodaya School Complexes, a CBSE initiative, today encompasses over 25,000 schools in India and abroad, building the futures of over 2.4 crore students. The next 2 days, we Sahodayas come together to commemorate our achievements and align ourselves towards greater service to the nation in the days to come. The able guidance of the board and inspiration from the eminent speakers we will get to listen to over the next 2 days will stand us in good stead as we move forward. Before we begin, a few things to keep in mind. If you're watching this on a mobile device, please hold the device horizontally in the landscape orientation. For best results, we would recommend that you use headphones or earphones. And if in case you face any technical difficulty at any point, please feel free to use the technical support available on the navigation bar in the auditorium. With this done and without further ado, let us begin. Before I invite our first speaker, let us turn to the heavens for inspiration. We invoke the blessings of Devi Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, music, art, wisdom, and nature, and the mother of the Vedas, before we start the day's proceedings.
re ga pa ni sa ga re sa 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 ga 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 pa 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 ni ni sa 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 ga 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 pa 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 ni ni sa 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 ga 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 pa 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 ni ni sa sa सरस्वती भवानी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी दयानी दुख हारिणी दयानी दुख हारिणी पाप विनाशिनी बुद्धि वरदायिनी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी pani sari ga re sari ga pani pa pa pani sari ga re sani pa ga re ga pani sa ga re sani pa ga pa re sa sari ga pani ni sa jai मां सरस्वती भवानी श्वेतहार गलमाल विराजे श्वेतहार गलमाल विराजे कर वीणा ध्वनि मधुर सुनावे कर वीणा ध्वनि मधुर सुनावे हस्त दया भक्त पर राखे हस्त दया भक्त पर राखे सुर की तुम हो रानी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी pani sa pani sa re ga re sa ga pa ni ga pa ni sa ga re sa ni sa pani ni ga pa pa re ga ga re sa ni sa pani sa re ga ga re ga pa ga ni ni sa jai मां सरस्वती भवानी जय 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 सुर नर मुनि गावे जय 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 सुर नर मुनि गावे दास ब्रज श्याम प्राण लगावे दास ब्रज श्याम प्राण लगावे विनती करहूँ शरण देवाता विनती करहूँ शरण देवाता अंत की तुम हो तारिणी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी सा 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 गा 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 pa ga re ga 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 pa ni ni pa ga ni ni sa sa ga re sa re ga pa ni sa re ga re ga pa ni sa re ga pa ni sa sa re ga pa ni sa sa re ga pa ni sa sa जय मां सरस्वती भवानी दयानी दुख हारिणी दयानी दुख हारिणी पाप विनाशिनी बुद्धि वरदायिनी जय मां सरस्वती भवानी जय मां सरस्वती मां सरस्वती मां सरस्वती
After this beautiful presentation and with the blessings of Devi Saraswati, we will now proceed with our program. I would now like to invite Ms. Nishi Mishra, Chairperson, Sahodaya Samiti Gwalior and Principal, Sindhya Kanya Vidyalaya, to formally welcome the audience. Ma'am, may I now request you to please address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. It is my honor and privilege as chairperson of Gwalior Sahodaya Samiti to welcome you to the 27th Annual National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes. I extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. माननीय महोदय, ग्वालियर सहोदय समिति की ओर से आपका हार्दिक स्वागत और शत शत नमन है. I cordially welcome Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Honorable Minister of State for Education, Government of India. नमस्कार सर, मैं आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत और अभिनंदन करती हूँ. A very hearty welcome to Mrs. Anita Karwal, IAS, our visionary Secretary School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education. Welcome, ma'am. I extend a heartfelt welcome to Mr. Manoj Ahuja, IAS, our illustrious Chairman, Central Board of Secondary Education and Secretary Government of India. I welcome all officers and officials from the Ministry of Education, CBSE, NCERT, NIPA, KV Sangathan, NIOS, JNV, as well as various non-government partner organizations. My warm welcome to all the chairpersons of Sahodaya school complexes and principals of CBSE schools present here today. I also heartily welcome all the teachers of our schools, along with parents and students who make up the strongest pillars of our school communities. As I welcome everyone to this two-day virtual conference, I pray for good health and wellness for you and the entire world. Since its inception in 1962, with 309 affiliated schools, the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, has grown into a global education superpower across 26 countries around the globe. In 1987, CBSE advocated the establishment of regional voluntary associations of schools as cooperative structures to develop synergies and give agency to schools. The Sahodaya objective of rising together has now graduated to raising the bar together. This year, the Sahodaya Samiti Gwalior has the privilege of hosting 300 plus Sahodaya complexes and educationists from around the world in this two-day virtual event to participate in vibrant exchanges with thought leaders. As India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, CBSE and the Sahodaya complexes join the vision of activating the new education policy. Hence, the 27th CBSE Annual National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes is built around the theme of Punar Nava, Rediscovery of India at 75. The conference aims at achieving the objective of rediscovering our monumental cultural and built heritage to build value systems to make our students global citizens who will contribute richly in all spheres of life. The vibrant array of speakers for the plenary sessions come with years of rich experience and achievement. To welcome them all, I recite the words from the sacred Rig Veda. Ano Bhadra Kratvo Yantu Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come unto us from all directions. Once again, I warmly welcome everyone and wish you an enriching conference ahead. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, On behalf of the Sahodaya Samiti Gwalior, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Shri Manoj Ahuja IAS, Chairman CBSE.
Shri Manoj Ahuja is an Indian Administrative Services officer of the 1990 batch from the Odisha cadre. Shri Ahuja is a mechanical engineering graduate from Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala, an MBA from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and Masters in Public Administration, International Development from Harvard University. He took over as the chairman of the Central Board of Secondary Education on 20th of May 2020, after serving as the special director of Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie. He has also been promoted as Secretary, Government of India. Shri Ahuja is an avid reader and a sports enthusiast.
With great pleasure and privilege, I would now like to invite Shri Manoj Ahuja IAS, Chairman CBSE. Sir, welcome. May I now request you to please address the gathering.
धन्यवाद. माननीय श्री शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी, मुख्यमंत्री मध्य प्रदेश, माननीय डॉक्टर सुभाष सरकार जी, शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री भारत सरकार, माननीय श्रीमती अनीता करवल जी, सचिव स्कूली शिक्षा व साक्षरता विभाग भारत सरकार, ग्वालियर सहोदय स्कूल कॉम्प्लेक्स के पदाधिकारी, देश और विदेशों में सीबीएसई से संबद्ध स्कूलों के प्रधानाचार्य और शिक्षक, इस स्कूल प्रधानाचार्यों के 2 दिवसीय सम्मेलन में आप सभी का स्वागत करते हुए मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है। मैं सीबीएसई और सहोदय कॉम्प्लेक्स ग्वालियर की ओर से, जिसने इस सम्मेलन को आयोजित करने के लिए सीबीएसई के साथ भागीदारी की है, माननीय श्री शिवराज सिंह चौहान जी, माननीय डॉक्टर सुभाष सरकार और मैडम अनीता करवल का इस सम्मेलन के आयोजन में उनके प्रोत्साहन के लिए और सीबीएसई को शिक्षा में सकारात्मक बदलाव का एक माध्यम बनने में मदद करने के लिए हार्दिक धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं सम्मेलन में भाग ले रहे सभी डिस्टिंग्विश्ड स्पीकर्स, पैनलिस्ट्स और पार्टिसिपेंट्स जो हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, उनका स्वागत करता हूं। As India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it is appropriate that the theme for this year's annual Sahodaya Conference is Punarnava, Rediscovery of India at 75. It will throw light on the vision of the National Education Policy 2020, which aims at building a globally best education system rooted in Indian ethos and traditions and transform India into a global knowledge superpower. I am delighted to share with you that CBSE schools are among the front runners for participating in activities being organized to commemorate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. In a short while from now, you will also be able to witness a beautiful choreography by students on the journey of 75 years of India's independence. The conference will also feature a video presentation on the theme before the valedictory tomorrow, and also an e-exhibition of artwork done by students on Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. At the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank all the principals and teachers who have put in untiring efforts during this pandemic to ensure that the learning process continued during these times. The last 2 years have been enormously testing and trying due to uncertainty and closing down of physical schooling. Despite the unprecedented level of uncertainty due to the pandemic, we have witnessed the outstanding ability and adaptability of our teachers to rise to the challenges and respond to it. Sahodaya, a voluntary association of CBSE schools across the country, is based on a spirit of sharing and learning from each other, which is one of the principles enunciated in the National Education Policy 2020. The annual meeting of Sahodayas has become institutionalized and is of immense benefit to all CBSE schools and CBSE as an institution itself, in terms of pointers and directions to move forward and bring about changes to improve and better the education system. CBSE has benefited over the years from this practitioner's perspective, which is based on grassroots experience and learning. Individual teachers often explore new ways of transacting the curriculum in answering the needs of students within a specific classroom context. Such innovative and creative ways of teaching and learning need to be supported and scaled up to benefit the entire system. CBSE is setting in place a mechanism to support a select few such initiatives every year. One of the largest spin-offs from the pandemic has been the use of technology in school education. Technology also provides us an opportunity to rethink education. If concerns of access and equity are addressed, technology has the potential of bringing the best quality of resources to each child, which will allow a child to learn at his pace from anywhere and empower children to be active learners. It has the potential to ensure both excellence and equity. However, while we implement reforms, we must carefully ensure that they must not overwhelm our children. The ultimate purpose of technology and reforms recommended in the National Education Policy is to place students at the center of the education process by shifting the focus from teaching in a passive manner to active learning. The National Education Policy realizes that the quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. It places the teacher at the center of the fundamental reforms. The policy emphasizes conceptual understanding rather than rote learning, creativity and critical thinking, multidisciplinary and holistic education, recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student, flexibility, 21st century skills, no hard separation between different areas of learning as some of its guiding principles. All these require a change in the way learning is structured in our classrooms, and principals and teachers will have to be change leaders to bring about these reforms in a productive and practical manner. The board will continue to make efforts to support the professional development of both heads of schools and teachers to ensure effective implementation of school-based reforms. The theme of the capacity building program for the year 2022 is creating conducive learning environment. Capacity building of teachers through mutual cooperation among schools could be a key strategy, and Sahodayas can play a decisive role in this process. I therefore call upon all of you to collaborate and mutually exchange resources to empower teachers to successfully carry out the reforms envisaged in the National Education Policy. As a result of the recommendations in NEP, examinations are also set to change. As you are aware, CBSE is transforming its board examinations in a gradual manner to make them more aligned to learning outcomes and competencies, and also streamlining our test development process to well-accepted protocols of standardized testing. It is expected that the changes in assessment pattern will bring about commensurate changes in pedagogical practices in the classroom and enable a shift from rote learning to conceptual understanding and application of learning to real-life situations. CBSE has projected a target to make its examinations competency-based to an extent of at least 50% by the year 2025. The board has also set up a Center for Excellence in Assessment with robust technical specialization for conducting action research in the area of assessment and examinations and developing quality question item banks to be used for various examinations. It will also undertake capacity building of item developers, evaluators, teachers, and other stakeholders, along with creating a community of experts and master trainers who will be well adept in the concept of competency-based assessment and modern theories of assessment. I will encourage all the schools to make use of these quality resources and bring about changes in assessment at the school level also. CBSE advocates innovation in learning pedagogy and has taken many initiatives to make pedagogy innovative, experiential, joyful, child-friendly, and context-oriented, and empower teachers for using these pedagogies. Experiential and active learning are the best pedagogies for competency-based education. These pedagogies promote critical thinking, creativity, and effective study of skills among students. It is expected that teachers will provide meaningful and joyful learning experiences to the students by adopting a variety of innovative pedagogies or instructional activities, experimenting with different pedagogies like use of puppets, toys, art, board games, etc., in teaching and go beyond textbooks to transform classroom pedagogy. In order to enhance the learning skills, creative and critical thinking skills, mathematical skills, social-emotional skills of the students, the board has been conducting many student enrichment activities throughout the year, like CBSE Expression Series, Heritage India Quiz, Science Exhibition, Aryabhatta Ganit Challenge, Storytelling Competition, Reading Challenge, Science Olympiad, celebration of different national and international days, programs for environmental conservation, celebration of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, adolescent peer educators leadership program in life skills, holistic health and well-being, and the schools have enthusiastically supported these initiatives by encouraging the students to participate in these activities. In this year as well, the board will be conducting all these activities, and also some new activities will also be initiated. The schools are encouraged to continue all-round participation in these activities by motivating students to participate in them for their overall development. The National Education Policy emphasizes foundational literacy and numeracy. The board has also taken steps to support schools in achieving stipulated competencies of foundational literacy and numeracy, and a plethora of resources for teachers have been created and made available at the CBSE academic website. It is important that all schools give concerted attention to this aspect, as lack of these competencies at the foundational level have long-term implications on the learning abilities of students. For holistic education, it is important to be cognizant of the unique abilities of a child across different domains. The board has developed a holistic progress card, which it will pilot during the coming year at the primary level, and it is expected to help in identifying the unique abilities of each child. SAFAL, or Structured Assessment for Analyzed Learning, which is a competency-based assessment for grades 3, 5, and 8, has been introduced by CBSE to assess the progress of foundational skills and basic learning outcomes and competencies among students. As a diagnostic assessment, it will provide developmental feedback to schools and teachers to improve teaching and learning without additional examination pressure on students. CBSE is all set to conduct a pilot of SAFAL this year. CBSE has also developed a framework of quality school assessment and assurance. This will enable schools to evaluate themselves against the defined standards and embed transformational change. It will also provide the schools with qualitative benchmarks around which they can charter their own self-improvement path to establish an expected level of excellence in all levels of their functioning. The National Education Policy 2020 has recommended integration of skill education program in mainstream education in all the educational institutions. In keeping with the recommendations, CP has already introduced 9 skill modules for students of classes 6 to 8 to ensure that all students of its affiliated schools have a flexibility of making a skill choice at an early stage in their academic journey by exposing them to quality skill education. Coding and data science have also been introduced as skill subjects. The board will definitely provide necessary support and guidance towards training and capacity building of teachers and other aspects for the successful implementation of skill subjects from time to time. The board has also taken numerous initiatives to de-stress the students, including rationalization of curriculum, online counseling sessions, coming out with manuals on mental health and well-being, holding mental health webinars, and a special scheme of assessment for which the first-term examinations have been successfully conducted against all odds during these difficult times, with your help. Taking cognizance of the need for preschool career options, CBSE, in collaboration with UNICEF, has also launched an online portal of career counseling for students. Regardless of all the above measures, CBSE, like all agencies associated with education, has been striving to find answers to some very hard questions, like what could be the best way forward for school education and assessment in the short and the long run? In what ways can we assimilate our past, our heritage, and our values into modern education to achieve the stated objectives? How can technology be used for its maximum potential to make the system resilient and bring about equity and excellence? What kind of innovations are required to achieve gamification of learning, integration of arts, sports, storytelling, and music as pedagogical tools in our schools? And what more can be done in our schools to mitigate or reverse climate change? Also, how would these questions and changes affect classroom transactions, teachers' capacities, curriculum, resource development, and assessments. While rushing to easy answers is not what the teachers and school leaders like to indulge in, I hope that this conference generates a lively discussion as well as raises more questions about how can we catalyze and accelerate and bring about sustainable, holistic educational growth in our schools by exploring, debating, and identifying collaborative solutions to some of the educational challenges which were shared in the form of questions. I once again extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries and delegates and thank all of them for being with us for this inaugural session. And also wish them and hope that they take care and stay safe and healthy. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for laying out the foundation of this conference and for talking about the spirit of sharing and learning. Sahodaya Samiti Gwalior was established in 2005 with 16 members in its fold. Today, it has grown to 59 members under its umbrella from Gwalior, Bhind, Morena, Shivpuri, Dabra, and Shiopur. We would now like to present the beautiful Sahodaya song prepared by students of a member school of Sahodaya Samiti. In all that we do in the sphere of education, we are guided by the Ministry of Education, Government of India, honorable ministers, and its esteemed officials. It is my privilege and honor to welcome our special guest, Mrs. Anita Karwal, IAS, Secretary, School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also privileged today to have amongst us today's guest of honor, Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Honorable Union Minister of State for Education, Government of India.
Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Education, Government of India, is an eminent physician and public servant originally from Bankura, West Bengal. Dr. Sarkar completed his BSc Honours and MBBS from West Bengal and has been serving as the Honourable Minister of State for Education since July 2021. He has also been an Honourable Member of the Lok Sabha since May 2019.
I would now like to invite Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Honorable Union Minister of State for Education, Government of India, to address the gathering. Welcome, sir.
आओ कल के भारत की तस्वीर बनाएं. I'm very grateful to this excellent song which has been prepared by the organizers. Namaskar, warm greetings to all. Our most beloved Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, he's the man who made MP to a respectable place in India's map, which was previously considered as a most poor and worthless state. Much before anybody thought about giving away food to poor people, he has started and known as Chauhan Baba. He's the true creator of New Madhya Pradesh. Madam Anita Karwal ji, Secretary, who is visionary and also dedicated to the Department of School Education and Literacy, Government of India. See, Manoj Ahuja ji, Chairman, Central Board of Secondary Education. Mr. Ahuja is not only an excellent personality, but also Mr. Ahuja is a dedicated, good organizer for the institutions. Officers from the Ministry of Education, CBSE, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sanghathan, Navodaya Vidyalaya, office bearers of Gwalior, Sahodaya School Complex, principals and teachers from school affiliated to CBSE from across the country and abroad. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to address the National Annual Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes. I would have been happier if I could go to Madhya Pradesh myself to join this event, but in this time of pandemic, it is relevant for us to meet online or virtually. I would like to read a sloka which emphasizes the significance of knowledge. Vidya prashashyate loke vidva sharvatra gaurava vidya lavate sharva vidyan sharvatra pujyate. It means that knowledge is extolled by everyone. Knowledge is considered great everywhere. One can achieve everything with the help of knowledge, and that knowledgeable person is respected everywhere. Dear friends, I am glad to know that the Sahodayas are achieving what they stand for, rising together. In times of need and collaboration, my good wishes are with them to expand with its admirable energy to assimilate new knowledge. I would like to congratulate CBSE and Gwalior Sahodaya School Complex for bringing together distinguished speakers and educationists on this platform and who have been energetically involved in the deliberation held during this conference. Dear friends, as we know that India is celebrating the 75th anniversary of its independence as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The theme for this year conference could not be more apt than Purnava Rediscovery of India at 75. As India celebrates the 75th year of independence, the ocean of knowledge is being churned to bring out the best of its component. The elixir, the Amrit, to give birth to a new era of growth and progress. Despite the unprecedented level of uncertainty from the pandemic, the Indian education system has passed through its all to arise on the other side in the new and better form. It's a happy coincidence that event is happening at a time when the Ministry of Education is celebrating iconic week under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Dear friends, India was known for its world-class institutions such as Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramshila, and Vallavi, where quality multidisciplinary teaching and research were common. As we all know, our national education policy is a dream and vision to empower the youth of India to be healthy, intelligent, confident, skillful, component, and productive citizens. The purpose of education will not only be the cognitive development, but also building character and creating holistic, this is very important, holistic and well-rounded individuals equipped with the key 21st century skills. Our National Education Policy 2020 aims to provide holistic and multidisciplinary learning for developing a student's expertise in literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, and problem-solving approach, but is also able to develop a student's personality by making him cultured as well as socially, ethically, and emotionally responsive towards society. It aims to enhance the new learning paradigm through the adoption of new education technologies or developing available in-house skills. National Education Policy 2020 has laid special focus on the use of technology in the teaching learning process. It emphasizes online learning with proper support of digital infrastructure and bridging the present digital gap. To strengthen the base of learners or students, experiential learning will be adopted, including hands-on training, arts integrated, and sports integrated education, storytelling based pedagogy, among others, as standard pedagogy within each subject, and with exploration of relations among different subjects. NEP focuses to shift, this is very important, to shift from rote learning to holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging learning. The NEP also motivates students to learn more about our country, that is India. Tribal knowledge and indigenous and traditional ways of learning will be incorporated into different subjects. Dear friends, it's amazing to witness the expansive group of school leaders from across the nation and abroad taking an active part in this conference. I have been informed that more than 5,000 school leaders from across India and abroad are a part of this conference and have been actively participating in the discussions. I am very much hoping that you will be gaining a lot from the experiences and understanding shared by the speakers, and you will implement them to continue educational activities during and after the pandemic, and also for implementing the recommendation of NEP 2020. Friends, the global pandemic has clearly heralded unprecedented changes in the field of education, catapulting us from the conventional ways of teaching to digitalized learning for effective output. This phase has been quite a demanding one, as it involved an investment of blended learning ideas to make the teaching learning process efficacious for our young generation. The Central Board of Secondary Education has also appropriately taken a prominent role in the continuation of learning of our children during this pandemic. I'm happy to share with you that our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has launched SAFAL, that is Structured Assessment for Analyzing Learning, which is a competency-based assessment for grades 3, 5, and 8, introduced by CBSE to assess the progress of foundational skills and this is the basic learning outcomes and the competencies among students. As a diagnostic assessment, it will provide developmental feedback to schools and teachers to improve teaching learning without additional examination pressure on students. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, also launched a framework of school quality assessment and assurance, as the board has been designated as a standard setting authority for school affiliated with it. The board has done admirable work in this area, and the quality assessment framework will enable schools to evaluate themselves against the defined standards and embed transformational change. It will also provide the schools with qualitative benchmark around which they can charter their self-improvement to enable schools to establish an expected level of excellence in all aspects of their functioning. The board has also taken initiatives to de-stress the students, like reduced curriculum, online counseling sessions, manual on mental health. Again, I am telling, this is very important. Manual on mental health and well-being, and special scheme of assessment for which the first term examinations have been successfully conducted against all odds. I congratulate Secretary, School Education and Literacy, Government of India, and Chairman CBSE and his team for playing a pivotal role in the continuation of education of our students during these tough times and setting an example for others to follow. I must comprehend the perseverance with which our teachers and principals are executing learning along the lines of resolutions adopted at last year's Sahodaya conferences. I urge you to form blueprints of the suggestions sought from these meetings, as this will enable us to successfully execute the plans at your end. I would also once again compliment CBSE and Gwalior Sahodaya School Complex for the initiative of conducting an online conference during these tough times. Before concluding my words, I would also like to bring out the importance of value-based education instead of merely attributing education to classroom learning. To explain this, I would like to share my experience, and it will be helpful to the teachers and students also. One of the teachers, he was such that he could take classes of duration for 2 to 4 years. In his class, usually the scheduled batch and the senior to this batch and junior to that batch also sit together because of his excellent lectures and with the holistic education. How this holistic education? Can I remember that whenever he is delivering this, he was a teacher of medical science. He teaches us that nowadays doctor treats the patient. No, doctor should teach the person, not only his physical part, but also his mental part. At the same time, considering his financial condition, you should prescribe. And even in the teaching, he created some constructive humor. In one subject, that was the mechanism of normal labor, he was taking classes one day for 4 hours, and the next day he again started. Some boys were thinking that why the sir is taking so much time for a simple thing, the mechanism of normal labor. Mechanism of normal labor means how the baby comes out from his or her mother's womb. And practically, there is such a mechanism, force applications, and the gate, and that means power, passage, and passenger. And to understand it needs also engineering technology. And he describes a story. And he told in such a way that when I was in London, now possibly, again I'm repeating, possibly you were thinking that I am taking much of time for explaining mechanism of normal labor. Yes, listen. When I was in London, my registrar was a South Indian lady who was demonstrating us how to apply forceps. And she applied one plate, then she applied another plate, and she began to pull, more pull, and ultimately she fell down, and fortunately I was behind of her to save her. This is a human. But student will never forget these things. I will request to all my respected teachers that not only the rote learning, but also your experiences, tell the stories, and especially for the holistic education. That is for your family, your village, your town, your state, your country, and ultimately to the ecosystem of the universe. Yes, value-based education teaches us how we can deal with the challenges in our life in the ethical way, while ensuring that we also adhere to the values in the society. I wish to share some inspiring lines by Helen Keller with you all. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. I wish and hope that all intellectual lectures will be organized regularly, as several ideas arise from such discussions. I wish you at the best of your efforts and future endeavors. Thank you all. Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, sir, for your encouraging words. By talking about new holistic learning paradigms, value-based learning, and the supreme power of knowledge and unity, you have certainly inspired all of us gathered here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and proud privilege to welcome our chief guest, the Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan. We are grateful to the Honorable Chief Minister for sparing time in his busy schedule to be with all of us here today.
धन्यवाद। मेरे लिए अत्यंत प्रसन्नता का विषय है कि शिक्षा मंत्रालय भारत सरकार द्वारा संचालित केंद्रीय माध्यमिक शिक्षा बोर्ड के 27वें राष्ट्रीय सहोदय सम्मेलन का आयोजन ग्वालियर सहोदय समिति द्वारा आयोजित किया जा रहा है। मैं इस अवसर पर उपस्थित भारत सरकार के विद्वान शिक्षा राज्य मंत्री आदरणीय डॉक्टर सुभाष सरकार जी, सचिव शालेय शिक्षा आदरणीय श्रीमती अनीता करवाल जी, अध्यक्ष केंद्रीय माध्यमिक शिक्षा बोर्ड श्री मनोज आहूजा जी, निर्देशक जोसेफ साहब, श्रीमती निशी मिश्रा जी और अलग अलग विद्यालयों के आदरणीय प्राचार्यगण, शिक्षकगण, पालक, विद्यार्थी एवं सम्मेलन में उपस्थित सभी विद्वान वक्तागण। सबसे पहले मैं सम्मेलन में एक्चुअली और वर्चुअली जुड़े हुए सभी मित्रों का हृदय से स्वागत और अभिनंदन करता हूं। सहोदय स्कूल परिसरों की अवधारणा पहली बार 1986 में व्यक्त की गई थी। 1987 में इसको दोहराया गया और इसके बाद सीबीएसई ने सहोदय स्कूल परिसरों की स्थापना की प्रक्रिया को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए अपनी प्रतिबद्धता दिखाते हुए पुस्तिका जारी की। लेकिन इस आंदोलन को अधिक बल पिछले दशक के दौरान मिला, जब बोर्ड के साथ पंजीकृत स्कूलों के परिसरों की संख्या कई गुना ज्यादा बढ़ गई। सीबीएसई द्वारा शिक्षा के लिए जो नेतृत्व दिया जा रहा है उसके सकारात्मक परिणाम सामने आ रहे हैं। मित्रों, ग्वालियर की जो हमारी सहोदय समिति है, सचमुच में बहुमुखी शिक्षा का वो एक मंच है। यह समिति ग्वालियर चंबल क्षेत्र के स्कूलों में उचित समन्वय बैठाने में सफल सिद्ध हुई है। सहोदय समिति ग्वालियर के इस क्षेत्र के प्राचार्यों के वैचारिक आदान प्रदान का व्यासपीठ के रूप में अपना उल्लेखनीय योगदान रहा है। मैं सीबीएसई नई दिल्ली के पदाधिकारियों का अभिनंदन करता हूं कि उन्होंने 27वें सहोदय कॉन्फ्रेंस के आयोजन का दायित्व ग्वालियर को दिया। भारत अत्यंत प्राचीन और महान राष्ट्र है। 5000 साल से ज्यादा तो ज्ञात इतिहास है हमारा। जब दुनिया के विकसित देशों में सभ्यता के सूर्य का उदय नहीं हुआ था, तब हमारे यहां तक्षशिला और नालंदा जैसे विश्वविद्यालय थे। भारत की जो प्राचीन शिक्षा पद्धति, उसने एक जमाने में दुनिया को भी दिशा देने का काम किया था। उसी प्राचीन नींव पर प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमान नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने नव निर्माण का काम शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में प्रारंभ किया है। स्वामी विवेकानंद जी हम सबकी प्रेरणा है। और स्वामी जी कहते थे, शिक्षा वो है जो मनुष्य को मनुष्य बना सके, उसमें मानवीय गुणों का विकास कर सके। हमारे ऋषियों ने कहा है, असदोमा सदगमय, तमसोमा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गमय। हम चलें असत से सत की ओर, अंधकार से प्रकाश की ओर, मृत्यु से अमृत की ओर। लेकिन यह शिक्षा ही संभव कर सकती है। भारत में शिक्षा के मूलतः 3 उद्देश्य रहे हैं: ज्ञान देना, कौशल देना और नागरिकता के संस्कार देना। स्वामी विवेकानंद जी कहा करते थे, मनुष्य केवल 3.5 हाथ के हाड़ मांस का पुतला नहीं है, वो अमृत का पुत्र है, ईश्वर का अंश है, अनंत शक्तियों का भंडार है, अमरानंद का भागी है। दुनिया में कोई काम ऐसा नहीं कि जो वो ना कर सके, लेकिन उसकी क्षमता का प्रकटीकरण करने का माध्यम है, सशक्त माध्यम है ज्ञान, शिक्षा। और इसलिए जब स्वामी जी कहते थे मनुष्य को मनुष्य बना सके, तो जो 3 उद्देश्य जिनके बारे में मैं चर्चा कर रहा था, पीढ़ियों द्वारा संचित ज्ञान, अगली पीढ़ी को और जो कुछ योगदान कर सकते हो, हम जोड़ सकते हो, वो दे देना। और ज्ञान किसी भी तरह का, अलग अलग विषय है, भाषाओं का हो, इतिहास का हो, विज्ञान का हो, भूगोल का हो। और दूसरा, कौशल देना। पढ़ने के बाद ये जरूरत नहीं पड़नी चाहिए कि वो काम की तलाश में भटक रहा है। इतना योग्य वो बन जाए कि अपनी आजीविका ठीक से चला सके। और नागरिकता के संस्कार देने का अर्थ है वो सचमुच में इंसान बने, परिश्रमी, ईमानदार, चरित्रवान, देशभक्त, परोपकारी, केवल अपने लिए जीने वाला नहीं, देश और समाज का भी ध्यान रखने वाला। अब एक नरेंद्र ने यह सपना देखा था, स्वामी विवेकानंद जी ने, और दूसरे नरेंद्र आज हमारे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी इसको साकार करने का भगीरथ प्रयास कर रहे हैं। नई शिक्षा नीति में इन 3 गुणों का समावेश है। मैं डॉक्टर सुभाष सरकार जी को सुन रहा था, उन्होंने जो बातें कही है मैं दोहराऊंगा नहीं, लेकिन ज्ञान के साथ साथ व्यावसायिक शिक्षा देने में आधुनिक तकनीकी का प्रयोग, दूरस्थ इलाकों में भी हम कैसे बेहतर शिक्षा दे सकते हैं, इसलिए ऑनलाइन शिक्षा, अभी डॉक्टर सरकार ने उस बारे में काफी कहा है। डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ऑनलाइन शिक्षण मंच और उपकरण, सामग्री का निर्माण, डिजिटल भंडार और प्रसार, कंटेंट क्रिएशन, डेटाबेस मेंटेनेंस और उसका विद्यार्थियों की पढ़ाई के लिए सही उपयोग हमारे शिक्षकगण बड़ी ही निपुणता के साथ कर रहे हैं। और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है सीबीएसई कई मामलों में शिक्षा को गति और दिशा दोनों देने का काम कर रहे हैं। मध्य प्रदेश में भी हम लोगों ने तय किया है नई शिक्षा नीति को पूरी तरह से ढंग से जमीन पर उतारे। एक परंपरा सी रही है कि सरकारी स्कूलों के मामले में हमारे यहां भी स्कूल खोल दो, हमारे यहां भी स्कूल खोल दो। मध्य प्रदेश में हमने तय किया है हम सीएम राइज के नाम से विद्यालय स्थापित कर रहे हैं। रोड का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हमारा बहुत अच्छा है। जरूरत इस बात की नहीं कि हर जगह स्कूल हो, जरूरत इस बात की है कि बेहतर स्कूल हो। और जो सीएम राइज स्कूल की कल्पना हमने की है उसमें 25-30 किलोमीटर आसपास के गांव के बच्चे बस में बैठ के अपने विद्यालय आएंगे, दिन भर में अध्ययन करेंगे, शाम को वापस लौटेंगे। वहां लैब, वहां लाइब्रेरी, प्लेग्राउंड्स, अच्छे शिक्षक, उनके लिए आवास की व्यवस्था और गुणवत्तापूर्ण शिक्षा जो नई शिक्षा नीति के सारे उद्देश्यों को पूरी करे, वो करने का हम काम करेंगे। और इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि बाकी स्कूल बंद करेंगे, वो भी चालू रहेंगे, लेकिन धीरे धीरे ये इतने उद्देश्य पूर्ण हो जाएंगे। और हमारी कल्पना ये है कि वहां पे 5-5, 7-7 हजार विद्यार्थी एक विद्यालय में पढ़े। उसके लिए विशाल परिसरों के निर्माण का काम हम प्रारंभ कर रहे हैं। व्यावसायिक शिक्षा के लिए भोपाल में ग्लोबल स्किल पार्क बन रहा है। 10 मॉडल आईटीआई का भी हम संभागीय केंद्रों पर निर्माण कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि हमको शिक्षा को रोजगार से, कौशल से जोड़ना पड़ेगा। एक तरफ बड़ी संख्या में कुशल हाथों की जरूरत है, लोगों की जरूरत है जो काम करें, दूसरी तरफ रोजगार की आवश्यकता है। शिक्षा इन दोनों चीजों को जोड़ दे तो मुझे लगता है कि काम की देश में कोई कमी नहीं है। मैं इस अवसर पर एक बार फिर उपस्थित सभी हमारे अतिथियों का, शिक्षकों का मैं खुद ये महसूस जानता हूं कि भवन कितने भी बड़े हम बना लें, लेकिन आत्मा तो गुरु है, शिक्षक है। मुझे पढ़ाया मेरे शिक्षक, प्रारंभिक जो शिक्षा दी प्राइमरी, श्रीमान रतन चंद जैन जी ने, और उनको उनके दिए गए संस्कार वो मुझे ठीक दिशा में ले जा सके। मैं जो कुछ हूं उसमें बड़ा हाथ उनका है। शिक्षक जिसको हम गुरु कहते हैं, वो विद्यार्थियों को गढ़ने का सबसे महत्वपूर्ण माध्यम है। इसलिए हमारे यहाँ शिक्षकों का, गुरुजनों का सम्मान भी है, वो होना ही चाहिए। मैं ऐसे सभी शिक्षकों को प्रणाम करता हूं। और जो स्वामी जी ने कहा था शिक्षा के बारे में, मैन मेकिंग, कैरेक्टर बिल्डिंग एंड लीडरशिप ट्रेनिंग, उस उद्देश्य को पूरा करते हुए हम नई शिक्षा नीति को लागू करते हुए मनुष्य के निर्माण का बहुत बड़ा काम अपने विद्यालयों से कर रहे हैं और बेहतर कर सकते हैं। इस अवसर पर उपस्थित सभी मित्रों का एक बार फिर स्वागत। आपके चिंतन से जो अमृत निकलेगा, मध्य प्रदेश में भी हम उसको पूरी ईमानदारी के साथ लागू करने का काम करेंगे। अपने शास्त्रों में भी कहा गया, दुनिया की जितनी भी समस्या है उसका समाधान अगर कहीं है तो वह है ज्ञान में। और इसलिए निश्चित तौर पर उस दिशा में ये सम्मेलन निश्चित तौर पर सबका मार्गदर्शन करेगा। इस अवसर पर एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की विरासत पर केंद्रित एक स्मारिका का ऑनलाइन विमोचन भी किया जाना है। इस अभिनव कार्य के लिए आयोजक और विद्यार्थियों का मैं हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं। कला प्रदर्शनी भी लगाई गई है। व्यक्तिगत जीवन में भारत एक राष्ट्र का भी उद्घाटन होना है। मैं इसके लिए भी धन्यवाद देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, प्रणाम, नमस्कार।
थैंक यू सो मच सर, आपके उत्साहवर्धक शब्दों के लिए और अपना कीमती समय हमें देने के लिए, हमारे साथ यहाँ जुड़ने के लिए मैं फिर से आपका अभिनंदन करना चाहूंगी। थैंक यू सो मच। 1947 में आजादी के बाद से एक देश के रूप में हम एक लंबा सफर तय कर चुके हैं। विश्व पटल पर 74 वर्ष के अल्प समय में यह ख्याति प्राप्त करना एक अभूतपूर्व उपलब्धि है। यह प्रगति, विकास और उन्नति भारत की गौरवशाली विरासत द्वारा प्रदान की गई नींव पर बनी है। As a part of the 27th National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes, we had an opportunity to connect with thousands of schools across the globe. We invited the schools to submit case studies on Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat, and we are grateful for the overwhelming response we received. To commemorate this momentous occasion and leave our mark on posterity, we have compiled a selection of these case studies into the conference souvenir, Amityotsav, celebrating 75 years of independence. It is now my honor and privilege to invite the esteemed dignitaries to release the souvenir. May I please invite our chief guest, the Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan, to kindly announce the souvenir released. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost a connection with our chief guest. So I would like to request our guest of honor, Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Honorable Union Minister of State for Education, Government of India, to please do the honors.
Namaskar to all. I release the e-souvenir which has been prepared for this program. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. The collective set of Sahodaya school complexes encompass over 2.4 crore students who present a myriad range of talents and abilities. Today, as we experience art-integrated education more than ever before, we take this opportunity and the privilege of putting together the best of art from students from across the globe. The response to the request for submissions was overwhelming, and choosing the ones to put into the gallery was not an easy task, with so many wonderful creations to choose from. The Navakala Vithika is the virtual art gallery where these artworks have been displayed. May I now request our guest of honor, Dr. Subhas Sarkar, the Honorable Union Minister of State for Education, Government of India, to kindly inaugurate the gallery of artworks made by the young students of CBSE schools from all across the country. Sir, I request you to just announce that you would like to inaugurate the gallery of artworks made by the young students of CBSE schools from all across the country.
Namaskar to all participants. I am inaugurating the e-gallery artworks of all students across the country by CBSE, as well as the Sahodaya school complexes. Namaskar. For the organizers, it is really amazing.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the India that we live in is the result of sacrifices and hard work of millions of people. Our sovereignty, as we sleep safely in our houses, is ensured by the brave women and men of our armed forces guarding our borders. In the 75 years of our independence, India has braved wars and global turmoil to emerge as an economic superpower. We now have the pleasure of presenting before you a choreography by students of a member school of the Sahodaya Samiti depicting the 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav.
अंग्रेजी हुकूमत ने देश को बेड़ियां पहनाई, एक हुए सब दीवाने देश के, आजादी की अलख जगाई। लाठी ऐनक वाले ने सत्याग्रह अनोखा छेड़ा। अनगिनत बलिदानों के बाद ये देश विदेशियों ने छोड़ा। लौह पुरुष ने लोहे सा अखंड बनाया भारत। आजादी की नींव पर खड़ी हुई ये भव्य इमारत। तभी आजादी ने कहा, मैं मंजिल नहीं राह हूं, अभी तो मैं शुरुआत हूं।
A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance.
बासठ के चीनी हमले ने भारत की आंखें खोली। जो भाई भाई गाते थे उनके हाथों में भी गोली थी। तब दिल्ली ताकतवर होती तो चीन नहीं लड़ सकता था। फिर मानसरोवर पर चीनी झंडा कैसे लहरा सकता था।
मेरी नस नस तार कर दो और बना दो एक सितार। राग भारत मुझ पे छेड़ो झंझनाओ बार बार।
देश से ये प्रेम आंखों से छलकना चाहिए। मैं रहूं या ना रहूं, भारत ये रहना चाहिए।
हरित क्रांति का बीज बोकर दुश्मनों पर किया मुख प्रहार। जय जवान जय किसान का नारा देकर देश को दिया इस संदेश में वरदान।
है मुझे सौगंध भारत, भारत है मुझे, भूलू ना एक क्षण तुझे। रक्त की हर बूंद तेरी है, तेरा अर्पण तुझे। युद्ध ये सम्मान का है, मान रहना चाहिए। मैं रहूं या ना रहूं, भारत ये रहना चाहिए। मैं रहूं या ना रहूं, भारत ये रहना चाहिए।
सीमा ने मस्तक मांगे हैं, घाटी मांग रही है खून। और हमारे दाएं बाएं ऊपर एटम सना जुनून। और बढ़े ना गिनती आगे भारत मां पर चोटों की। इसी कारण आवश्यकता थी परमाणु प्रक्षेपण की। लेकिन आजादी रक्षा के बिना अधूरी है। इसीलिए हाथों में हमारे एटम बॉम्ब जरूरी है। अग्नि पृथ्वी आकाश नाग मिसाइल का धमाका है। इन विस्फोटों से दुनिया की अगली पंक्ति में सन्नाटा है।
ऐ सरजमीन हिंदुस्तान, तेरे उन जानिसारों, जांबाजों, शहीदों और मुहाफिजों को सलाम है, सलाम है, सलाम है, जिन्होंने अपनी बहादुरी की कलम से फतह की एक और बेमिसाल तारीख लिख दी। गवाह है आज भी कारगिल की वो बुलंद चोटियां, जिनको तुमने अपने लहू से सींचकर तिरंगे की आन बान और शान को रोशन कर दिया।
चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ जनरल वीपी मलिक के नेतृत्व में लड़ी गई कारगिल की जंग अपने आप में सैनिक रणनीति और साहस का एक उदाहरण है। ऑपरेशन का नाम था ऑपरेशन विजय। इतिहास बदलने जा रहा था।
वंदे मातरम।
कारगिल का ये युद्ध भले ही उच्च अधिकारियों की विस्तृत प्लानिंग और रणनीति के अनुसार लड़ा गया हो, लेकिन इसे जीतने वाले औसत 20 से 25 साल की उम्र के वो नौजवान सैनिक ही थे जो शेरों की तरह दुश्मन पे टूट पड़े। ये वो बेटे थे जिन्हें अपनी मां के आत्मसम्मान की चिंता अपनी जान से कहीं ज्यादा थी। पूरे विश्व पटल पर भारतीय विजय का डंका बजने लगा। कारगिल की ये विजय उस नए भारत की नींव का पत्थर है, क्योंकि इस युद्ध में बही खून की हर एक बूंद ने हमारे आज को सींचा है। जब संपूर्ण विश्व के शीर्ष शिखर पर भारत का ध्वज फहराएगा, तब मेरे देशवासियों हर दिन विजय दिवस कहलाएगा।
आधुनिक भारत के शिल्पियों ने दिशा दिखाई। उनके एक एक कदम के साथ देश ने एक छलांग लगाई। सपेरों का देश जिसे कहते थे, वही पहले प्रयास में मंगल तक पहुंचा। मेक इन इंडिया, इन 3 शब्दों ने दुनिया में हमारा नाम किया ऊंचा। आज हर घर में बिजली है, हर हाथ में मोबाइल फोन है, हर जेब में डिजिटल पहचान, हर खाते में डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट, हर रसोई में स्वच्छ ईंधन और हर आवास में इज्जत घर है।
दुनिया के सबसे बड़े टीकाकरण अभियान के फलस्वरूप हमारा देश और भी मजबूत होकर उभरा है। टीकाकरण अभियान ने एक बार फिर इस टीम इंडिया की ताकत को अलग पहचान दिलाई।
स्वच्छता और योग नए भारत के संस्कार हैं। वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, पूरा विश्व हमारा परिवार है। अंग्रेज कहकर गए थे, हमारे जाने के बाद देश तुम्हारा बिखर जाएगा। नहीं सोचा था उन्होंने कि भारत विश्व के सबसे विशाल लोकतंत्र के रूप में निखर जाएगा। आइए मनाते हैं स्वतंत्रता, एकता, विकास और लोकतंत्र के 75 साल। आइए इस महापर्व की तैयारी में जुट जाते हैं। आइए बनाते हैं आत्मनिर्भर भारत। आइए मनाते हैं भारत की आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
What a wonderful performance that was. And on that note of young fervor, we have also reached the end of the inaugural session of the 27th National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes. I would now like to request Mrs. Richa Verma, Secretary, Sahodaya Samiti Gwalior, to kindly propose the vote of thanks for our esteemed dignitaries and revered guests. Ma'am, may I now request you to please address the gathering.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the inaugural session of the 27th National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes. It is often said that it takes a village to raise a child. And it is well known that for a village to unite on this mission, it takes the leaders to herald the way. The inaugural session all of us just witnessed marks the wonderful beginning to the most fantastic events that will follow. It is my honor and privilege to thank our chief guest, Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, for his gracious presence and his encouraging remarks in this inaugural session. To have someone of your stature, sir, who leads the way for so much of development, come and encourage us, raises the spirit of the entire community of educationists. Thank you so much for making the time in your busy schedule. It is also my privilege to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the guest of honor, Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Honorable Minister of State, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Sir, India has one of the largest education systems in the world, and it functions as a highly efficient giant machinery because of leaders like you who ensure that policies and measures support our efforts. To have you here, sir, supporting the conference today has been indeed an honor. It is my privilege and pleasure to thank you, Mrs. Anita Karwal, IAS, Secretary, Department of School Education and Literacy, Government of India, for being a part of today's session. Ma'am, over the years, all of us have come to consider you as one of our own for the numerous occasions on which Your work has helped us in various ways. For all that, and for being a part of the inaugural session today, we thank you. It is also my pleasure and privilege to extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Manoj Ahuja, IAS, Chairman, CBSE, for his kind participation. So you and your team at the board have worked tirelessly with us every step of the way, and your good office has contributed immensely to make an event of this scale possible. For the support you gave this event, for the support you give our schools, and for embodying the true spirit of Sahodaya, we thank you. I would also like to express our warmest appreciation to the many teachers, educators, students, and other people behind the scenes who have worked towards making this conference happen. As we bring all of you together, we look forward to the knowledge and the ideas that will be shared. This word Sahodaya means to rise together. So come, join us as we, over the next 2 days, do just that. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Richa ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being a part of the inaugural session of the 27th National Conference of Sahodaya School Complexes. This marks the auspicious beginning of 2 days of some wonderful deliberations and discussions, which we invite you all to be a part of. We will now take a short 15 minutes recess. During this time, we invite you to check out the newly inaugurated art gallery, Navkala Vithika. We shall reassemble here in 15 minutes, post which we will get to listen to Dr. Rudra Pratap, Vice Chancellor, Plakshi University, as he delivers the keynote address. Thank you and see you soon.